The wife who taught me how to love again. He broke her trust. She broke his pride. But when fate forced them together again, love returned in the most unexpected way. Amaka never believed she'd see Emeka again after he walked out 2 years ago, leaving her with nothing but their marriage certificate and a shattered heart. Lagos was big enough to hide pain until fate placed him in her office as her new manager. She froze when she saw him. He looked older, calmer, but those eyes, they carried the same storm. "Hello, Mrs. Amaka," he said softly. Her reply was colder than the AC. "It's Miss now." Work meetings became silent wars. Every time he corrected her, her chest tightened not from anger, but from memories she'd buried. Once, they were lovers who shared roasted corn by Third Mainland Bridge. Now, they were strangers bound by awkward politeness. Late one evening, she overheard him praying in the empty office. "God, help me fix what I destroyed." Her heart trembled, because she had prayed the same prayer too. When their company got a major project, Amaka was forced to work closely with Emeka. He noticed how she avoided his gaze, how her laughter never reached her eyes anymore. One night after work, he said quietly, "You don't have to hate me forever." She didn't answer. Hate was easy, but it wasn't what she felt anymore. It was something deeper, something she feared. Amaka still kept a letter she once wrote him, apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She found it while cleaning her drawer, and tears stung her eyes. As she folded it back, her phone buzzed. A text from Emeka. "Can we talk?" She hesitated, then replied, "Tomorrow." Maybe tomorrow was the beginning of healing or another heartbreak. They met at a quiet cafe. Emeka looked nervous, his hands trembling as he stirred his coffee. "I was lost," he said, voice breaking. "My pride cost me the only woman who ever loved me." Amaka's eyes glistened. "You left me to bleed alone." Silence fell between them, heavy but cleansing. For the first time, neither defended nor blamed, they simply grieved what was gone. That night, Amaka couldn't sleep. She replayed his words, wondering if people could really change. Pain had made her strong, but also cold, and she wasn't sure she wanted to melt. Meanwhile, Emeka sat in his car outside her house. Not to beg, just to make sure she got home safe. He finally drove off at midnight, whispering, "She deserves peace, even if it's not with me." A week later, Amaka collapsed at work. Stress and exhaustion. Emeka rushed her to the hospital, staying by her bedside all night. When she woke, she found him sleeping in a chair, holding her hand.
"Thank you,"
Tears rolled down her
whispered
when he
cheeks.
woke up. She
Emeka
realized
smiled
forgiveness
faintly.
wasn't about him.
For what?
It was for not
About
walking
freeing
away this
herself
time.
from pain.
He sighed.
That had already taken too
I learned
much.
that love isn't about being right. It's about staying even when it's hard. His words planted something, new in her heart, fragile, but real. Emeka didn't push for love again. He simply showed up with food, with kindness, with humility. And slowly the walls around Amaka's heart began to crumble. One evening he dropped her home and said, "Even if you never love me again, I'll spend my life proving I do." That night, Amaka wept not from pain, but release. A few weeks later, Amaka's mother fell sick. Emeka quietly took care of hospital bills without telling her. When her mother found out, she smiled and said, "My daughter, some men learn too late, this one is learning on time." Amaka couldn't deny it anymore. The man before her wasn't the same one who broke her. He was a man rebuilding himself through love. At dawn, they walked by the lagoon, the city still asleep. Emeka turned to her, eyes misty. "I don't deserve you. But if love is mercy, then let this be mine." Amaka reached for his hand. "Love isn't about deserving," she whispered. "It's about choosing." And for the first time, she didn't resist the peace that came after pain. Their relationship blossomed quietly, no grand gestures, just small, steady moments. They prayed together, laughed softly, and began to rebuild what was once ashes. One Sunday morning, Amaka looked at him across the pew and realized she wasn't just healed, she was whole. Emeka took her to the same spot where he'd first proposed years ago. "This time," he said, kneeling slowly, "I don't promise perfection, only presence." Amaka smiled through tears. "Then I promise forgiveness and forever." The crowd watching clapped softly as love found its way home. Their second wedding was nothing fancy, just friends, family, and heartfelt vows. Even the pastor cried when he said, "God restores what we ruin when we surrender." As Amaka slipped the ring on, she whispered, "This time, we love with understanding." And Emeka nodded, eyes full of gratitude and awe. Years later, Emeka told their story at a marriage retreat. "My wife taught me what love really means: patience, forgiveness, and faith." Amaka smiled beside him, holding his hand. Their past wasn't perfect, but their redemption was beautiful. Sometimes, love doesn't return to repeat, it returns to rebuild.